Hey guys, so I'm running a Venture 3 right now. This is the Venture 3. I'm going to show you my fittings on the Venture 3. So, there's been some changes. I don't run any mid slots on the Venture 3, mainly because there isn't much point. The mid slots that I could recommend running maybe would be an Energy Nosferatu just to troll other miners, and also maybe a Stasis Webifier to potentially slow down an assailant, but other than that, there isn't really many mid slots that I would consider running. I'm not running any rigs right now because I'm mining in low sec and it's risky and rigs are expensive. However, there are plenty of power grid defense rigs that you can get access to at tech level 7, and there are plenty of mining bonus mechanical rigs that you can find on the market if you really want, but for me, not really worth it at this point in time. Let's go back to fittings. So I'm currently running Mark 7 and Mark 5 miners comboed. I'm looking to upgrade to Mark 7 miners. They're just a little bit hard to find in the market right now. They're getting bought out pretty quickly. Managed to find one, but I will eventually upgrade my entire lot to Mark 7. When you are running a venture, you cannot run strip miners. They are for mining barges only. Strip miners work very differently. 10% battery remaining. That was quick. Strip miners are very, very different than basic miners. Basic miners, you can target a asteroid and it will mine that asteroid, albeit fairly slowly, especially if it's a rare ore. Strip miners will mine anything that it is close to. You don't get to target what minerals your strip miners go for. They just go for any of the asteroids that your ship is closest to. The point of a mining barge is to warp into a asteroid field and clean the asteroid field out, and that's why they call it strip mining. It strips down the entire asteroid field. Mark 7 miners are just, you know, the tech level 7 miner that you can get your hands on, but at tech level 5 you can get a Mark 5 miner, and if below that you can get a Mark 3 miner for your Venture 1. Do not use a drone. Absolutely zero point in using a drone. Drones are not going to help you win a fight. You'd have to have the most ridiculous small drone to attach to your venture to actually take on a frigate and win, for instance, so there is almost no point buying a drone. It's a waste of money. Low slots, this is where it gets interesting. I have a cloaking device for my frigate. That is because it's now an option with the power grid resets, or the power grid changes on frigates, to attach a cloaking device to your venture. I then have a basic shield hardener and a shield booster as well, just to try and help me get out of a sticky situation. Wow, my battery is getting eaten into, and I'm not exactly sure why. Alright, I reset my iPad and hopefully that's fixed the battery issue. So let's go back to talking briefly about the fittings. These are fittings that you can run for any of the ventures right now. You can run for the Venture 1, 2, or 3. Obviously the Venture 3 has got 3 high slots, which allows you to have 3 miners, but the Venture 1 and 2 both have a pretty good setup as well. We're currently in Awa right now. I'm the only one in this system, so that means I'm going to be able to get away with mining. So what I'm going to do is, while I'm waiting, I'm going to warp over to an asteroid belt. I prefer belts over clusters because often the ore is spread out in a way that I don't have to travel too far between each ore or each asteroid to mine. That's why I prefer belts. But let me just quickly go over the ship tree here if we go to ore. So the Venture 1. The Venture 1 has got a drone slot, 2 high slots, 1 mid slot, and 3 low slots, as well as the usual rigging setups. For those of you that don't know what these symbols mean, the claw-like symbol, which is on the leftmost side, is going to be the drone symbol. The little triangle that looks like a Mitsubishi logo, or I guess a recycling logo in some way, is the high slots. The 2 little dashes is a medium slot. The 1 little dash is a low slot, and then the square brackets like this is a power grid rig, and the round brackets is the mechanical rig. Mechanical rig and power grid rigs, new players don't really need to worry about. The most important things for new players, especially when you're mining, is the high slots and the low slots. And the Venture 2 and the Venture 1 have 2 high slots and 3 low slots. Those low slots are for things like shield boosters, armor hardeners, afterburners, micro warp drives, cloaking devices, and the high slots are for things like your miners. I'm currently running the Venture 3, which has 3 high slots, 2 mid slots, and 3 low slots. The mid slots, like I said previously, are kind of irrelevant on they're kind of irrelevant on the Venture. Oh, I'm selling off some heavy metals here. That's nice. I lost a lot of money recently, guys, by the way, because I got blown up in one of my very expensive ships because I was an idiot. But this is the beta. It's all about having fun and learning. So what I do when I come to an asteroid field, I'm mining in low sec right now. I want to show you why the cloaking device is pretty cool. You can activate it. It will cloak your ship. which will mean that you'll be able to escape in a tough situation and potentially be able to warp out. As long as you're aligning, especially aligning with where you're warping, the cloaking device is a really cool little asset to add to your mining ventures. So I like spodumain right now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the asteroid list and I'm going to target all of the spodumain. Oh, my ship's cloaked, I forgot. So you can't actually mine while you're cloaked, by the way. Can I uncloak? Is that... yeah, okay, I'm uncloaking. You can't actually mine while you're cloaked, obviously, that would be ridiculously OP. So I'm going to go through and lock all of the spodumain that I want. And the beautiful thing about... having it all in fairly close range is that as long as the asteroids are in range once you have finished mining them, the miners will automatically cycle and lock onto the next asteroid. If the asteroid that you're going to move on to after the asteroid that you're currently mining has finished, if it's out of range, your ship will just travel off into the distance and you can't properly AFK mine. This is why I like asteroid belts over asteroid clusters, because it's much easier to find a collection of asteroids that are in a group together, so that when I finished mining this asteroid of spodumain, I will automatically lock and target and mine the next asteroid. Obviously, there are some situations where I'm going to jump out of range. You can see I'm out of range of all 3 of the extra ones now. So depending on where the orbit cycle is, I can actually reduce my orbit cycle by doing this. If I go orbit and then put that to 15, I can actually reduce my orbit range by a significant margin, which should be able to bring me in line with a lot more of those asteroids afterwards. But once I finish this asteroid, it should automatically jump onto the next asteroid, or an asteroid that is in range on my locked targets, which definitely helps when you're AFK mining. I can put my iPad to the side and not have to worry about it, just keeping an eye to make sure no one warps into the system and tries to kill me, which is obviously always going to be an issue. So for those of you that have been mining AFK and wondered why you've come back and your ship is 500 kilometers away from the last asteroid that you mined, that is because if you are not in range of the next asteroid that you have locked on, then you will not mine it, and you will continue to move in the direction that your ship was facing when it stopped mining the previous asteroid. Otherwise, I basically let my miners do their thing, and I collect spodumain until I have a full cargo hold, and then I walk back, reprocess it, and sell it. And each time I make a trip like that, I have 30,000 meters cubed of spodumain. If I go to my wonderful spreadsheet, oh, that was smooth. I definitely didn't mess it up on the last time. I'm going to go down and show you. So we've actually already input in the current selling values for what spodumain can produce based on the market value, and that's showing me that spodumain will get me 76 per meters cubed. Well, if I literally just do, if I just do, like, I don't know, cargo hold. Screw it. Let's just do the calculation next to it. That's going to be equals M98 multiplied by 30,000. So I can make about 2,300,000 on a trip with a full Venture 3 cargo capacity of spodumain. I probably fill my venture up in about 45 minutes, and there is about 15 minutes travel time, so I'm making about 3 mil an hour when I'm AFK mining, which is, if I'm doing maybe 3 or 4 trips a day, I'm making 10 to 12 million a day, and then over the course of 4 or 5 days, I should be able to save up and build something like a cruiser that I'm working towards to go ratting with. It's maybe not the best way of making money, but it is also a very relaxing way of making money that allows you to be a little bit more hands-off. And so we're actually going to go through this spreadsheet now in more detail, because this is a really important part of assessing your mining capabilities and what you can and can't do with the skills that you have available to you. If you aren't interested in this part of the video, I hope you've enjoyed watching my venture setup and kind of where I'm mining. I'm actually going to quickly show you where in the world I'm mining right now. I am in the Metropolis system. My closest ITC is Nakugard, which is over here, which is very near Heck. And I'm mining in the low-sec system that is very close to that. It's kind of like a low-sec pocket. It's very low population. I've been blown up a few times here, so it's not completely safe. If you are not paying attention, you can easily get blown up. But one of the benefits that we have now when we are playing in the frigates is that we can now attach a cloaking device to our frigates effectively, and this makes mining frigates relevant again overstrip miners, because it means that you can make solo mining expeditions to low sec or even in null sec and use your cloaking systems to be able to escape from tough situations. So that's the benefit of having a cloaking system now when you are mining in sort of low or null sec when you're running with a mining frigate over a strip miner. I'm going to go back. I need to set my default orbit value to 15 somehow, but I'll just keep doing it manually for the time being. And that's how you set your orbit range as well. Each miner has its own. If I go to fittings, just one last tip. If you look at the miners, hold on there, it has an optimal range of 15 kilometers. So my Mark 7 miner has an optimal range of 15 kilometers, which is why I orbit at 15 kilometers. All of the miners, Mark 5, Mark 7, Mark 3, I believe, all have that same optimal range, which is why I sort of bundle in on that range and try and mine at the 15 kilometer range when I can. But 17 kilometers, you're not going to see a massive difference in output either, so it doesn't really matter that much. Right. There we go. Yeah, that's my mining tutorial in a nutshell. And again, like I said, I've got my reprocessing and sale of ores tutorial in the second half of this video, but it's mainly spreadsheet work. If that doesn't interest you, have fun just learning to mine wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. So a lot of people like to ask me what my recommendations would be for early mining, basically. What would my recommendations be for when you start mining? So, I'm going to have a look at this bottom table here. This is the most important one. This is essentially ISK per meters cubed output, which is adjustable based on your processing skill as well. Also, it's worth noting that I will be adding an extra table here. You can actually just sell the ore by itself without actually reprocessing it. It really depends on your processing skill versus the value of the ore in the market. And most of the time right now, it's better to reprocess because the value of the ore in the market is pretty low. But I will talk you through this table and it can help you understand which ores you should be focusing on. First of all, let's have a look at which ores we should be looking at in general. The uncommon and common ores are the ones that as a new miner, you're probably going to be most likely to get your hands on. We are actually going to have to unfortunately discount Pyrox Ares and Dark Ochre. Now, I'm not saying that you can't mine them as a new miner, but the truth of the matter is that they are only available in 0.4 downwards, which means they're in technically low sec environment, which means if you get caught in the mining field by a pirate, they will kill you and they will blow up your ship, which can be very, very detrimental to your start in mining. So most people choose to start in high sec mining, which means you've got Kernite and Umber, and then all of the common ores available to you as well, Plagioclase being available from 0.8 downwards. So let's take a look at what each of those particular ores are worth per meters cubed. Veldspar and Scordite are worth a little bit more than Plagioclase right now. The only reason that is the case is because Mexalian, unfortunately, is pretty low price in the market right now. And the main draw of Plagioclase is the fact that it gets a lot of Mexalian, and almost none of the other ores apart from maybe Kernite offer Mexalian either. So right now, the best bet, I think, for making money, especially because Pyrite is in high demand, is probably Scordite. So if you're managing to mine Scordite, you're probably going to make a good amount of money to begin with. And then obviously you're going to have Veldspar. Tritanium is always needed, and it's got a high Tritanium concentration for the size of the ore available. So if you want to make large volumes for Tritanium and sell those, Veldspar is always a really, really, really good ore to get your hands on. It's mined very quickly. It's a low volume ore. So, you know, Veldspar, you can never go wrong with it. You could consider Umber and Kernite, but they don't actually sell much more than the current common ores, so you're probably better off staying in high sec space and starting on Veldspar or Plagioclase. One of my one second, I'm actually just mining myself right now. Actually, I'm going to move out of this system because there are 3 people in this low sec system, and I don't trust mining in a system where there are 3 people. Especially in low sec. Well, I do have a cloaking device on my venture now. It's going to make it a bit safer for me, but obviously it's going to have to be a bit risky. So a lot of things that you have to consider also in mining is that actually if you're trying to mine directly out of a high population system, for instance, like if you're trying to mine out of Amar, you're trying to mine out of Maspa, you're trying to mine out of Nakugard, if you're trying to mine directly out of an ITC station, you're probably going to warp into an asteroid field and find there are no asteroids there because they are probably very highly populated with people who are trying to mine in a safe area. You're better off, and I'm going to switch over to, if I can get my iPad locked in here, I'm going to quickly switch over and show you exactly what I mean, because there are 4 people in this one, so I'm actually going to continue to move set as destination. So we're going to switch over to my iPad. I'm going to show you. I'm actually mining in a low-sec area near to Nakagard. I'm still 6 jumps away from Nakagard, and it is a low-sec area, so it can be very dangerous. But what I would say is if you find a high-sec system, let's say one of the most popular systems right now is Jita. Jita is... That's not what I wanted to do, Jita. Let's search for Jita. Here we go. Where's Jita? Where's Jita? Jita is here. Okay, so let's say you're in Jita. We did it finally. Let's say you're in Jita and you're starting to begin your mining career from Jita. Mining in Jita itself is going to be fruitless, but if you want to stay in high-sec space and actually find some mining opportunities, you can probably jump 4 jumps to somewhere like Kilmabe or even at Tulema, and you're probably going to find that in this system, there is going to be some mining asteroid fields that you can get your hands on, and you can probably find plenty of mining opportunities with fairly low competition in that space. So that's what I would recommend. If you're in a high population system, look at the solar map around you. Look for more secluded systems where the population is between 4 and 5 maybe per solar system. Jump into those asteroid fields and start mining there. And again, like I said, the thing to focus on is going to be things like in high-sec systems, Veldspar and Scordite, but honestly, any of these, if you're going for a mix of Veldspar and Scordite, you're going to make a decent amount per meters cubed. If you want to maximize your profits right now, based on the prices that I'm seeing, apparently Scordite is the one to go for, so that would be my recommendations for new miners. I want to talk about this spreadsheet that I have created, which I'll put a link to in the description below. It's a very, very useful spreadsheet that I created to help essentially I guess go through individual ores that you can mine, where you can mine them, and kind of what kind of ISK output you can get from each of those individual ores depending on your reprocessing skill and also depending on the market value of them at the time. This is a complicated spreadsheet, but what I'm going to go is go through the big boxes and tell you what they mean. So this is the big box right at the top. This is essentially a reference table. This tells you all of the ores separated and color-coded into common, uncommon, special, rare, and precious, and it shows you all of the security ranges that you can find these ores. For instance, Veldspar, the most common ore in the entire universe in the New Eden, is available from security range +1 to -1. It's available in every single security level system there is. There is Plagioclase, which is available from +0.8 to -0.3. This shows you all of the security systems that you can find all of your individual ores in. Then you'll see the volume, so how much space each piece of ore occupies, the smallest being Veldspar at 0.1 meters cubed, the largest being Merkozet, I think that's how you pronounce it, at 8 meters cubed. So you could fit 80 pieces of Veldspar into one piece of Merkozet. And that is a little bit of just a kind of brief overview of how big those pieces of ore are. That is useful for later when we start to talk about space occupied versus how much money you can make per meters cubed. Then I've done a small table here outlining what kind of minerals you get from reprocessing the ore. Now, unlike EVE Online, EVE Echoes uses a standard reprocessing system for every single type of ore. It is 100 pieces of ore to reprocess whatever type of mineral that you have. And I've shown you the outputs for 100 pieces of ore for all of our ore types here. My favorite being spodumain. It has a very, very high tritanium output, a high pyrite output, and a pretty good oxygen and oxalian output, all of which are incredibly useful to sell early on because almost all of the early destroyers, cruisers, frigates require these types of minerals, and therefore they're going to be in high demand for people buying and building ships. Now I've basically standardized this next table. This is, again, for reference. You don't need to do anything with this table. This standardizes the output per meters cubed. So you can see here that I've actually standardized the output because all of the ores are different sizes, and so all of them are going to fit. You're going to fit a different amount of ore into each individual meters cubed. I've standardized the output, and this is useful for later on, but this is just a good reference table. It doesn't really tell you that much, but it is useful for later on in the spreadsheet. Here is the first spreadsheet that you can change. So I want to just highlight something here. Each ore has a reprocessing skill attached to it. The base reprocessing skill for every single ore is 30, so you never change this table here, this part of the table here. However, I'm going to say that I have leveled up my special ore reprocessing for spodumain quite a bit, and I now have a 51% reprocessing skill. So you put your actual value here, which you can find by going to either the ore itself. It will tell you what your reprocessing skill for that ore is by highlighting on it, which means if you find that ore, hold your finger on it and it should bring up an infographic which will tell you what your reprocessing skill on that ore is. So you can see here that right now, according to this table, at 30%, spodumain has the standard... Oh, 1 second, I've just changed that too quickly. At 30%, spodumain has the standard ore output of about 6,000 tritanium, 1,100 pyrite, mexallion, and isogen. I'm going to change my reprocessing skill to what it actually is, which is 51%, and you're going to see that I can have a massive boost in output for spodumain at 10,000 tritanium per 100, 2,000 almost pyrite, and then a big jump in isogen and mexallion as well. So I'm going to change that back. This is relevant for every single one that I've done here. You can just change what your reprocessing skill is for all of them, and it'll tell you what your output's going to be based on your reprocessing skill. Now that is important because that is going to come down to the tables that we have at the bottom here, which is working out how much money you can make from the ore versus how much money you can make for actually selling your reprocessed minerals. So down the bottom here, you can see the value sheet. So this is the value per reprocessed, and this changes when you change the actual value of the minerals. These are all random. I haven't checked the value of all of these minerals right now, but basically what you do is, let's say, I mean, pyrite right now sells for 2 ISK per, right? But let's say that pyrite dropped down to 1 ISK. You'll see that it cuts the tritanium value in half on everything that essentially has a tritanium. So what you do is you input your current market prices for those minerals, and then what you do is you go down to the end, which is, let's say, spodumain here, and then you put in the price per ore per one. Right now, the price for spodumain for me is about 250. So you can see that here, just based on standard reprocessing, I break even. But let's say I have that 51% of my spodumain. That increases the amount, and this changes the table down here, so it's really useful because it can tell you how much you can earn for reprocessing as long as all of these values here are correct. It changes how much I can earn per 1 ore of spodumain to 425. So that is a massive boost in what I can make compared to just selling it on the market. So that is how you compare the ore price on the market versus what you can get for reprocessing. As long as you put your reprocessing skill in up here and you put your actual market value of the ore types here. So you have tritanium, pyrite, mexallion, isogen, noxium, xeridine, megasite, and morphite. You can find those out by going to the market, going to minerals, and I'll actually show you when we get onto the I'll actually show you when we get onto the oh, do you know what? I'll show you now. Let's show you now. So what you do to find out the values of the, that's wrong, that's inventory, my bad. What you do to find out the values is you go to market, and this is how you can compare, essentially. So you go to manufacturing materials and you go to minerals. Tritanium, it says 4, but then actually if you look at the actual market price, it's about 2. Let's say pyrite, that's dropped to about 9 now. So let's go through this process of updating. So pyrite's down to 9. Mexallion is about, I reckon I could sell mexallion for 15. There was a couple below there, but the average is 15. And then we have a look at isogen, that's down to about 40. So let's go back and input that in our table. So we said pyrite was down to about 9, mexallion was down to about 15, and isogen was down to about 40, yeah, about 40. So, at that level, I'm making 236 right now without the reprocessing skill. But obviously, my reprocessing skill is 51% on spodumain. So I can still make 401 ISK per ore compared to selling the ore of spodumain at 250. And just to, I'm just going to show you very quickly how you find the ore price as well, if we go back and have a look. So now you can see where you can find the mineral prices. If you go to raw ores, and then you go down to, I'm comparing spodumain right now. In fact, that's down to 150, so that's down even further. So actually, even at basic reprocessing skill, you can make more money reprocessing and selling the elements rather than just selling spodumain raw. For me, right now, I could probably make an absolute metric crap ton of money just buying spodumain and selling the the offshoots of it. Or I could probably, if I have a look at something more relevant, because actually tritanium right now is pretty hard to sell. Let me think about nice. So nice is, let's have a look at how much nice costs. Where is nice? Dark. Oh, here we go. Nice. So nice is about 100 right now. I'd say 100, right? So let me put my reprocessing skill in special. So I could make 120, if I go back to my spreadsheet, I've just inputted in that. I can make about 120 per nice right now, which to me doesn't sound particularly enticing. I'm only going to make 20 extra per ore. Obviously that could be, it's about a 20% margin, which is not bad if I'm buying in large volumes, but I do have to sell all of the product and I have to count tax as well. So spodumain is probably the best one that I can buy and resell on the market. I just have to hope that the tritanium sells, because the tritanium can be quite hard to sell right now. So that is a basic outline of how my how it works. I will just double check, just for my own personal sake. I'm going to have a look at Hemorphite. So Hemorphite on the market right now is about 102. If I add my pyrite, if I add my skill in, 51. I also need to take note of what Zyridine and Noxium are selling for on the market right now. So let's go to minerals. Noxium selling for 600. So I've massively undervalued Noxium here. 600 is the average price for Noxium, and Zyridine is selling for, I would say 650 at a minimum. So I could actually make a significant margin on buying and reprocessing Hemorphite, just because I have the reprocessing skill to take advantage of the low ore value that is on the market right now. So there's lots of ways that you can make money with mining, reprocessing being one of them, but this is what this spreadsheet can help you achieve. Now, I know this was a long video. I've put timestamps in the description. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider subscribing. I really would love to continue to make EVE Echoes content. I hope the game's going to be really big. I love the game. I used to play EVE Online a lot. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And if you're a content creator who wants to join up with me in a corp, or you have a corp spot available for me, I'd love to join, because I don't have any friends. I'm lonely. So I'd love to be part of a corp somewhere down the line. I'm probably not going to be I'm sorry, my mining has just finished. I'm so addicted. I'm literally playing the game whilst actually filming a video on the game. I would say though that I'm probably going to be more PvP focused when I actually get into the full game, but I'm doing mining right now because I've never done mining in EVE before, so I want to like really explore it where I can. And whilst there is decent money to be made, usually you can make better money by ratting in nullsec and selling off parts from ratting in nullsec. But it is a more relaxing way to make money, I suppose, by playing the mining game, as long as you're keeping an eye on if you're mining in low sec or whatever. Yeah. Enjoyable, and you know, I might actually upgrade to a mining barge in the beta if I can, and try some strip mining out and see how that goes. So I'll see you soon.